Hello, today we're going to work on our last set of vocabulary related to job titles. So the first set were signs that you've seen before that we'll review. The second set were signs you've seen before but probably don't remember. This third set, these are going to be totally new to you. So you're definitely going to want to pay attention and make sure you get all the pieces put together. All right, here they are alphabetically. Ta-da! Jobs. We're going to start with accounting. Okay, so accounting, this is the sign to count. So it's a flat hand and an F, and you ... count how many things. So accountant, accounting, or accounting, accountant. So it's literally someone who counts. Next we have advertising or marketing. So this hand is a fist and it's closest to you. Your dominant hand is behind that and it opens up. I picture somebody with a bullhorn, talking to the crowd and telling them, like a barker at a carnival, telling them, hey, come see my product, see how cool this is. It doesn't have to be here at your mouth, but I'll bet you that's where it started. Advertising. Next we have architecture. We may or may not have learned this one before, I don't remember. But here it is anyway, so if it looks familiar, great, no problem. Architecture, it's like a building. You're drawing a simple flat-roofed building with A's. Next we have cashier, someone who runs a 10 key. Used to be you had to type in, if you worked at a grocery store or a hardware store or anything like that, you had to type in the amounts of what everything was worth, the price tag on everything, and then the machine would add it all up and tell you the total. Anymore, we have barcodes, so you just kind of scan things. So we're not still doing a lot of 10 key. However, that's still the sign for cashier. Next we have EMT. Technically, the fancy sign would be emergency medical technician. That's what EMT stands for, emergency medical technician. However, that's mostly just known as the guys who are in the ambulance. So you could say ambulance person. Ambulance, so it's kind of claw hands that twist like the sirens on top, like the red lights on top of an ambulance. Or you can also do EMT, you can spell it EMT. This next one is tricky in both languages. The word is entrepreneur in English, it comes from the French, and it means someone who owns their own business. So that's where the sign comes from. We sign business and then owner. Ooh, let me do that again in slow motion. O-W-N-E-R. Now, that's not, it's really, if I were spelling, that would be O-W-N-E-R. Own is a loan sign. It's a lexicalized sign. It started off as finger spelling, but now owner is how that's done. So let me do that again. Business owner. The W kind of gets lost. The W, we've substituted the W for the twist, so it's owner, E-R. All right? Business owner. Next we have interpreter. Interpreter. So this is the sign to interpret, and then we use the agent marker. Next we have manager. So this is the sign to manage or to control. It's like the reins of a horse, and you're telling the horse which way you want it to go. So manager. Here in the picture, he is a restaurant manager, but there are plenty of other kinds of managers. There are all sorts of offices, stores, whatever, that need management, that need people in control, making sure everything's getting done. So manager. All right, take a minute to review those before we finish up the list. Our next one is mechanic. So your weak hand is a bolt, your dominant hand is a wrench, and you are working on it. You can be a car mechanic, and usually that's just mechanic by itself. Here in the picture, he is an airplane mechanic. He's actually working on a plane. So airplane mechanic, so that one's more specific. That one does not need the agent marker. The next one is related to it. It's a plumber. He also uses a wrench, so it's pipe mechanic is literally what you're signing there. Pipe, that's a classifier just showing a cylinder, and then the wrench. So plumber. Next we have computer programmer. You already know the sign computer or computer, and then program. Programmer. It's a P. The weak hand is flat, dominant hand is a P. It starts closest to you, and then it goes up over the top of your hand. And then that one does need the agent marker. So computer programmer or computer programmer. Or you could spell coder. If you want to specifically talk about computer code, you'd spell it. Next is physical therapy. So physical, like your body. And then therapy is like help, but with a T, therapist. Physical therapist. Next, and these next three kind of go together. These are people who work for in religious institutions. First, we have pastor. So he's pastor. This is the sign to preach. We've already talked about the sign to lecture. The sign specifically to preach, like in church, is with an F. That comes from the French sign to preach. So preacher is literally what you're signing there. Pastor, that tends to be more your evangelical denominations who use that term. If you come from an Episcopal or a Catholic tradition, then it is a priest. Priest, because he wears the white collar as a mark of his position. So priest. In a Jewish temple, you have a rabbi. So that's an R that makes a box. The sign rabbi comes from the Pentateuch, and it mentions what a priest should wear. There was a special breastplate that he would wear, and it's a big square metal thing, and it had stones on it that represented the 12 tribes of Israel. So that's what that's showing. It's showing that big square breastplate. So rabbi, but with R's. And last but not least, we have waiter, or really a better word to describe the sign and to use in English is server. That's kind of because it's gender neutral, but this serve. So picture a guy like him carrying a tray, right? So you're serving, but you're juggling trays all the time. Server or waiter. All right, now that was by no means a complete list of every occupation ever. I barely scratched the surface of all the many, many, many jobs out there in the world. If you want to know something specific, please feel free to ask me. And until then, happy signing.